Hey, it's Mark from CAHEP, Community Arts and Heritage Education Project. If you are not familiar with us, we're back for another arts instruction video. This time we're going over 2 paint pour techniques. Once again, we're doing this in conjunction with the cookhouse. We already went into the cookhouse and worked with Hannah and some of the residents that are there doing this exact project, and it was a blast. We had a ton of fun. A lot of paint was all over the place, lots of smiles, great time. Some of the video that you actually see later on showing the actual paint pour technique was shot during that session. Those of you at the cookhouse, we've supplied 20 art kits for you to access. You can get the art kits and then watch this video and follow along and be able to do the paint pour techniques at home or wherever you want to do them, with by yourself or with a group, in the park, on the seashore, I don't know, wherever you like. Of course, this is also just on YouTube, so anybody can access this. Of course, the people in the cookhouse will have art kits supplied for them, and we're going to go over one by one what each of those items is for you to identify. But if you don't have one of those art kits, you'll be able to create your own art kit based on what we go over. So let's get to it. Lorraine CAHEP, who is your instructor, is a Thunder Bay arts legend. She's going to blush and scoff at that moniker, but it's totally true. It is absolutely true. Lorraine is the co-owner of the Painted Turtle Art Shop here in Thunder Bay, Ontario. And through that store, she has supplied pretty much every artist in the region with art supplies for literally decades. She is a talented artist herself, and she is a deep reservoir of artistic knowledge, who personally I have called upon many times. She has saved my butt more than once with her vast artistic knowledge. She's the perfect person to walk you through these 2 paint pour techniques. So everyone, here's Lorraine.
Hello, I'm Lorraine CAHEP, and I am the co-owner of the Painted Turtle Art Shop, and I'm here today to help walk some people through doing some paint pouring. There's quite a variety of different types of ways to do paint pouring, but today we're just going to do what's called a puddle pour, and then we'll be doing there'll be one of those points where you're going to have to fix it. And then we'll be doing a dirty pour with a flip and drag. Pardon me. Flip and let's try that again. And then we'll be doing a dirty pour with a flip and drag, which creates some very interesting effects.
Okay, so here's the supply rundown of what's included in your art kits, or what you'll need to get if you don't have one. First off, a box. This is to catch all the excess paint as it comes off of your canvas. You have 2 canvas boards, one for each project. These are 8" by 8". They go into the box, but you have 4 cups in your kit. They go upside down in the box with the canvas board on top to allow the paint to run off of the canvas into the box. Try to keep the paint off of these cups if you can as you do this, as the canvas board will dry and stick to the cups if you don't. So you can see it's raised and it just runs off the side into the box. You have cups with paint in them. Surprise! Black and white, and the 3 primary colors: red, blue, yellow. From there, you can mix any color. You also have 4 empty cups for mixing paint in. You're not going to need much of this paint to mix colors with. The pigment is very strong. You will have 5 stir sticks to mix the paint with, as I'm demonstrating goofily there. Look at me go. Don't do that. You have 2 cups of the mixing medium that makes the paint flow better, 1 for each project. They are labeled, 1 for the puddle pour and 1 for the dirty pour, and you'll use all of these mixture in each project. You also have a bottle with silicone oil in it. It is labeled silicone oil. There is a very small amount of it in there for the dirty pour method. You won't need much. I'd recommend leaning it tip down with the cap on so it all flows to that end shortly before using. You also have gloves to keep the paint off if you like, or you can go sans gloves and get covered in paint. That's fine. Not included in the kit is something to put on the table, a cheap tablecloth or newspaper or plastic or whatever. It's going to get messy. Dress appropriately. That's it. Let's get started.
All right, so for the first one that we're going to do, the puddle pour, the first thing you're going to need is some paint. So you'll pick some colors. And we have the primary colors. You'll have those in your kit, the primary colors, and some white and black. I would recommend that you mix a shade of color rather than leaving just the pure color for a bit of variety, and add a little bit of white to a couple of the colors that you picked for the process of the puddle pour. So if you're going to want maybe some purple, you would mix some red and some blue, and that'll equal amounts of that will give you a shade of purple. If you go with lesser red and more blue, then it'll be a deeper, darker one, and vice versa. If you go with more red and less blue, it'll be more in the red shade. If you want some green, you'll use the yellow and the blue. Same process. If you want some orange, you'll use the red and the yellow. I just went over that. Most people know their color mixing, but lots of times people forget what colors mix to make what shades. Once you've got a couple of drops of color, you don't need a whole lot of the paint itself. This paint has a lot of pigment in it, so a few drops at the bottom of your container. Okay, so for example, if you're going to use these 2 colors and make a shade of purple, then I recommend that you add a little bit of white to that color. Tiny bit of white, the equal amounts of the 2 colors and a bit of white. The white is heavier, so it helps to push the colors. They kind of push the colors down and up, and helps to create more of the cells. So when you're doing your first, when you're doing the puddle pour, I would recommend using 2 or 3 colors and white, and in 2 of those colors, add a little bit of white to it. So maybe have 2 colors, leave 1 color a pure color. Say, example, you've got a purple and a green, and then some yellow with no white in it, but these 2 add a little bit of white, just because that will help to make it more interesting, and it moves better. White being heavier sinks down farther. The cup that you have with the pouring medium, which is what helps to make the paint flow nicely and create all the wonderful little shapes and I don't know what else to call them. All of those little fun things that come from the paint pouring moving. I forgot where I was going there. And okay. And then your little container of medium that you have, in those cups where you've mixed the paint, add that medium, that full container of medium, into all of those cups. So if you've chosen 5 colors, like the 3 colors plus black and white, split up the medium into all of those colors basically equally so that it's all used up. And then, so that once you have your colors all ready and set, then you're going to take them and you're just going to pour them into puddles of the colors on your canvas. So that just layer the puddling up of the paint all over the canvas. And then once you've emptied all of the colors on there, then you're going to take your canvas and just slowly tip it back and forth so that it, I just love how I'm actually physically doing this here. Then you're going to take it and tip it back and forth, letting the paint pour and move. So you want to try and cover all of the canvas right over the edges. It's a messy process, so make sure you've got coverage on your table so you don't end up with paint pour all over your house. The corners, sometimes it can be a little bit hard to get the paint to go right to them, so you can use your little stir stick and scoop some of the paint off that has dripped off the edge of the canvas and pick it up and just put it on top on those little areas where the canvas is still showing white. Yeah, so that was a version of the very, very basic paint pouring method. It's pretty simple and it is fun. It's really interesting to watch how all the paint moves around and makes the different shapes. So I hope you enjoyed that. And now I'm going to show you or talk to you about doing a much more fun method of doing a paint pour. And it's called a dirty pour with a flip and drag. So again, you would choose your paint colors. I probably don't need to walk you through mixing the colors again, but just in case, you've got your paint colors, mix a few of the colors together. And for this one, if you didn't use black and white in the other one, I would recommend that you use a little bit of white and a little bit of black in this one as well, just because it creates some interesting contrast. In this one, we're also going to use some silicone oil, which also helps to create more of the cells that people find very interesting and exciting in the paint pouring. So,
what are the cells?
Pardon me?
What are the cells?
The cells are...
Can you explain what the cells are?
The cells are little bits of paint colors that are... Oh, I got it. The cells are... Let me show you the cells. Let me find one that has good cells in it. For example, the cells are all of these lovely little bits of colored paint that have rings basically around them of other colors that make them show up really nicely. And you can see actually the reason when I've been telling people to use white, because white is heavier, and white really helps to make those little cells show up. There's a few more in this one. Sorry. I'm going to show you this. This is an example of one that was done without putting any white into any of the paint. So there was just the pure blue, the pure yellow, and they mixed a little bit to make the green shades. But you can see there's some white in there. That was white just separately. But there was no color mixed into it. So you can see how it lays more flat. It doesn't get the variety of different shades of tones and colors and the depth, the same as when you add the white to some of the colors. Okay, so for the dirty pour, you're going to mix up your colors, and once you get all your colors mixed up, you're going to take your pouring medium in the full container. Again, you're going to split that equally amongst all of the paints that you have mixed up. And then you're going to choose 2 or 3 of the colors that you have, and you're going to take the silicone oil. You've got a little dropper of the silicone oil, and you're going to drop just a tiny little bit of that into 2 or 3 of the colors. And then after you've done that with your little stick, you'll mix it in. And just be careful when you're mixing it. If you want to have really tiny cells, mix it a lot. If you want to have some larger cells, then mix it just a little bit. So what I would suggest doing is with one of them, mix it a fair bit, and with one of the other ones or both of the other ones, leave the oil mixed in, but loosely mixed in, so you get more variety of different shapes and sizes of cells. And don't forget to add some white to some of those colors for sure, just to help with that layering and making the colors move more. So once you've done that, you're going to take your empty cup, and then you're going to pour some of the white, and it's important to put the white paint in first because the white paint is heavier, and with this being a flip, you're going to be basically going to be flipping the cup over. So the white paint is going to push all that other paint down onto your canvas. But so when you're layering your paint, a little bit of white down first, and then just layer the other colors randomly on top, more white, if you some black, the different colors, until you've completely filled up your little cup again. Then you're going to take your little cup of paints, and you're going to take your canvas board, and you're going to take your canvas board and put it on top of the cup of paint, and then you're going to flip that over onto, set it back onto the little stand with the other little cups. And you're going to let that paint kind of slowly, you can actually watch it kind of slowly move down to the canvas, and just tap the top of it a little bit. That just helps to move the paint down. And as I said, you'll see the white kind of push the other paints down onto the canvas board. And let it just sit for a few minutes, not a few minutes, a few seconds really. You don't need to leave it for too long. And then you're going to take your the cup and kind of pull the canvas a little bit, and take, just so it doesn't move around, take the cup, and you're going to kind of give it a little pull and a twist and turn it over, and then all of that paint with all the wonderful little colors and cells and things is going to start pouring and moving around on the canvas. And as it's doing that, you'll pick it up again and move it around like you did with the first one, but you'll notice more cells that are popping up with this, and that's the silicone oil helps to make that happen more. So just kind of push it back and forth and let it roll. You can scoop up the stuff from the edges again if it's not hitting the edge of the canvas or the corners, or even if you want to just take some of that up and just even drop it onto the top and let it land where it goes, and watch what it does. One of the hardest things to do is to just let the paint do what it wants to do. There's often a temptation to get in there and push things around, which is okay, but if you want to have a bunch of cells, you don't want to burst them before they have a chance to do their thing. So that would be the end of that. Then you have to let these paint pouring guys sit at least 24 hours for the medium itself and the paints to dry. After you've let them dry, I would let them sit longer than that. In order, the one with the silicone oil, I would let it sit longer than that. And then if you want to get rid of that oil, because you have oil sitting on top of water, it rises, right? So there's going to be little droplets of oil on the top of your painting. And after 48 hours, you can take a little bit of window cleaner, a little bit of rubbing alcohol, put it on a cloth or a paper towel, and then just gently rub that to clearing off those little bits of oil. It'll move it around on the surface of the canvas itself, and then it might take a few times to actually get all of the oil removed. And then if you want to, you can varnish it, but you wouldn't be able to varnish that painting with those little bits of oil on there, because it'll just pool. So once you've finished your painting and let it have some time to fully cure and dry, you can work back into it if you want to. And just to give you an idea of some things that you might be able to do, like say I have this one here. So I did this quick little drawing on it's on a clear plastic, but that was just to be able to show you how you can possibly work into your canvas. Make it something a little bit different. Look and see what you can see in there, and maybe work with it to create something more fun. Some of these are going to be really pretty boring, but those kind of things. Or you can do like this. This one is actually worked into. You can push the color even more if you wanted to make it. But there's that is, yeah.
Ooh, ah.
Just to give you an example, like you can take these farther and make them more complete works of art rather than just a really fun project and way of playing with paint. And hopefully you had a good time and created a wonderful, exciting couple of paintings. Thank you. You can pick up all the materials for, if you want to continue doing this and you don't have any materials left, you can always pop down to the Painted Turtle Art Shop and come see Angie or I. And we have paints, and we have the pouring medium and the silicone oil, and lots of things that you can, canvas boards, all the things that you might need to use to do this fun project. Did I miss something?
I'm keeping that part in. Well, that's it. Is everybody covered in paint now? Hopefully you are, because that's half the fun. That's what paint pour is all about. It's time to get messy. Art isn't a tidy thing. Thank you so much to Lorraine CAHEP for doing that and bringing her vast amount of knowledge about art and just her sheer enthusiasm about what she does to the sessions at the cookhouse and for this video for you. Just thanks to Hannah and the residents of the cookhouse for people that showed up for the session, and just everybody who's been so welcoming. We've been going in there a couple of times now, and it's been a great experience overall. And thank you to the New Horizons grant that provided the funding for us to be in the cookhouse and doing these videos and doing all this stuff and bringing art out to the community. Tune in again, subscribe, like, blah, blah, blah. You know the deal. Yeah, we'll be back with more. Bye.